When you watch Two and a Half Men, you probably think Charlie Harper is just a slightly exaggerated version of Charlie Sheen's real life.
Charlie Harper has a lot of girlfriends on that show.
I mean, his role was literally created with Sheen in mind, based on his reputation as Hollywood's ultimate bad boy.
Well, it's kind of a Charlie Sheen kind of character.
But here's the thing that might surprise you. Charlie's real life was so much worse than anything the sitcom ever showed that comparing the two isn't even fair. The TV character and the actual human being who portrayed him existed in completely different universes. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this comparison is laughably one-sided. But let's start by acknowledging why everyone made this assumption in the first place, because it was not unreasonable. From the very beginning of Two and a Half Men, Charlie Harper had a level of authenticity that you rarely see in sitcoms. His entire lifestyle revolved around drinking, sleeping with beautiful women, and avoiding any form of commitment or responsibility. Sounds familiar? That's because Sheen had already cultivated this exact public image throughout his career. When you watched Charlie Harper stumble home drunk or charm his way out of consequences, it felt real, because Sheen brought authenticity that only comes from lived experience.
Hey, what are you doing up so late?
It's 7 a.m. What am I doing up so early?
The show even cast Charlie's real-life wife at the time, Denise Richards, to play one of Harper's girlfriends, further blurring the lines between fiction and reality. So when people said that the character was just Charlie Sheen playing himself, they had plenty of evidence to support that conclusion. But they were still very, very wrong. The first massive difference between these two versions of Charlie becomes obvious when you look at what they were actually putting into their bodies. And this is where the comparison starts to break down completely. Charlie Harper drinks scotch, downs beers, occasionally smokes a cigar, and this behavior is played entirely for laughs.
I'm not dying, my friend. I am living life to the fullest. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go throw up and take a nap.
However, when it comes to harder substances, the show simply doesn't go there. For now, at least. Charlie Harper is portrayed as a functional alcoholic whose drinking rarely causes serious problems. But now let's talk about what Charlie Sheen was doing during this same period, because the differences are huge. He began experimenting with substances at age 10 and moved on to coke by his 20s. Yet the real turning point came in 1992, when he first tried the hardest form of coke. And by his own admission, he was immediately hooked.
There was this dude, he would give me my normal powdered version, and then he'd always go into the bathroom, and he would come out like he was on one, you know, but on a good one. And I'm like, what's going on in there? What am I missing? And he said, oh, Mr. Sheen, you don't ever want to mess around with this stuff.
In a now infamous interview from 2011, during the height of his very public breakdown, Sheen talked about using 7-gram rocks and finishing them. To put that in perspective, most people wouldn't survive that level of consumption. But Sheen had been at it for so long that his tolerance was superhuman.
How do you survive that?
Because I'm me. I'm different. I just have a different constitution. I have a different brain. I have a different heart. I have a different, I get tiger blood, man.
However, here's where things get really crazy. And this proves just how carefully they were hiding the truth about Charlie's lifestyle. You see, after Sheen was fired from Two and a Half Men, the writers suddenly started making references to Charlie Harper having used harder substances all along. The persona that had been carefully portrayed as just a heavy drinker was retroactively made much worse after the actor who played him was gone.
Hey Charlie, thanks for giving up your house. I guess you didn't really give it up, you died. You'd have to be on crack to give up all this.
And this wasn't by accident. It was intentional character assassination from Chuck Lorre and the writing staff. Pure payback for their bitter feud, where Sheen publicly mocked Chuck and trashed the show.
I've spent, I think, close to the last decade effortlessly and magically converting your tin cans into pure gold.
I can't put that on a guy that basically built a dream scenario for me, wrote an entire show based on stuff that he thought I'd be perfectly suited for, because I already lived it,
Their substance use already revealed a massive gap. But when you look at their respective wealth and the lifestyle that money afforded them, the differences become even more staggering. Charlie Harper lived in a lovely Malibu beach house. status. He drives nice cars, including the newest Mercedes models and a Jaguar. His income comes from writing commercial jingles and collecting residual checks, which he admits to spending almost immediately. He lives comfortably, takes women on nice dates, but he's never been shown as absurdly rich. Just well off enough to maintain his bachelor lifestyle. Yet at his absolute peak during 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen was worth approximately $150 million. By 2010, he had negotiated a contract that paid him around $2 million per episode, making him the highest paid male actor in television history.
Yeah, that was a lot.
But the real gap becomes apparent when you look at how each of them spend their money. So let me share a story that perfectly captures just how extreme Sheen's wealth truly was.
Charlie let me borrow his Ferrari, man, when I was like 24, something like that.
Did you own your own?
No, I didn't have one then. I just asked him because I was like fearless, like, Charlie, let me borrow your Ferrari. He was like, okay, sure. I was like, what?
There's so many cars in the driveway back then. Yeah. It was cool to have another parking space open, you know?
I kept that Ferrari so long, he forgot I had it. He was like, do you have my Ferrari? I said, I think I do. He said, can you want to bring it back? Okay.
That's right. Sheen was so wealthy, owned so many expensive vehicles that he completely forgot he owned a freaking Ferrari. Can you imagine Charlie Harper forgetting he owned a supercar, let alone lending it to someone? Come on, he didn't even like his brother Alan joining his Mercedes. But if you think that's wild, wait until you hear about all the women. But first, let's address the elephant in the room that everyone associates with both Charlie Harper and Charlie Sheen. Their reputations as relentless party animals who seem to treat every night like an opportunity to push boundaries. Now, you might be thinking the character's lifestyle was pretty wild when it comes to women. On 2.5 Men, the jingle writer's party lifestyle is one of his defining attributes. Throughout the series, he slept with over 100 women.
Charlie Harper has a lot of girlfriends on that show. And when I wasn't in either of those marriages, Charlie Sheen had a lot of girlfriends not on that show. Interestingly enough, I was either married or in some relationship during the entirety of 2.5. So anybody you see me dating on the show was just on the show.
Yet in reality, Charlie Sheen has allegedly been with thousands of them. Hundreds versus thousands, it's not even remotely comparable, making his sitcom counterpart look like an amateur.
Now, on the show, we've seen that you would pursue women, but we just saw a couple. I imagine it was significantly more than that off the show.
I mean, as one would expect, I hope.
But what happened when these two versions of Charlie actually tried to settle down and make a relationship work? The show built its entire premise around his character being commitment phobic. He got engaged 3 times over 8 seasons. To Mia, the ballet teacher, then to Chelsea, who stuck around the longest, and finally Rose, who he also married at the very end, yet even that was off screen as part of writing him out of the series. On the other hand, Sheen went through 3 complete marriages and 3 divorces. His first was to model Donna Peel in 1995, lasting less than a year. Then Denise Richards in 2002 before ending messily in 2005, and finally Brooke Miller in 2008 before that marriage imploded in 2011. So while the fictional version spent years avoiding commitment, Sheen was dealing with actual custody battles, child support payments, and all the repercussions that come with failed marriages. So remember when I said this comparison wasn't even fair? Charlie Harper was the version of Charlie Sheen that got to exist without real consequences. One lived in a sitcom bubble where everything reset by next week. The other lived in reality where mistakes actually cost you. Charlie Harper drank heavily but never faced rock bottom. Sheen nearly died multiple times. The Malibu playboy lived comfortably in his beach house for 8 seasons. Sheen went from $150 million to nearly losing it all. And despite, or maybe because of, living in that consequence-free fantasy world, Charlie Harper became the most loved character in 2.5 Men. But if you want to know which characters fans absolutely despised and couldn't stand watching, check out this video right here.